Thank you very much. World order is changing fast. And when we are talking about world order, we are not talking about tariff, we are not talking about war. We are not talking about gaming either, which is talk of the town today. What we are talking about is the way shift is happening in the way we conduct ourselves, be it in our personal lives or marketing stuff, business life. And that shift is mainly driven by privacy. So privacy is not new to India. It's been there for a while. I mean, it started with Puttaswamy judgment in 2017, followed by Sri Krishna committee report and number of bills. Thereafter, we have DPDP in place now, yet to be effected. And our discussion is about privacy first marketing. My name is Vikash Kukreti. I am partner with Luthra and Luthra Law Offices India. It's a law firm based out of Delhi. I have with me esteemed panelist here, Mr. Sanjay Sindhwani, who is Chief Executive Officer of Indian Express Digital. Sanjay has massive experience in scaling up digital platforms. He has been visionary and creating leaders throughout his life. We have Nikita Singh here from Fortis Healthcare. She is regional marketing lead in Fortis Healthcare. She has over a decade of experience, including in media and tightly regulated healthcare sector. Thank you very much, Sanjay. Thank you, Nikita, for joining us today. So first, let's start, Nikita, with you, probably, on a very, very basic fundamental question. The question is, what exactly we are talking about here? What is this privacy first marketing? How it's different from our conventional marketing approach?
Hi. Am I audible? Yes, I am. Now I can hear myself. So first and foremost, thank you to all of you who are sitting here. I do understand it's 1 p.m. and tummies must be rumbling and it's lunchtime, but we'll try and keep this conversation quick and interesting so that you can move forward to answer those rumbles. So what is conventional, what were the conventional methods that we speak of? We've relied a lot on third-party data, in my opinion. And we've got that data and we've reached out to people, but that's been the conventional way of doing things. Cookies, etc. You know, those are words, keywords that we can throw around. Everyone's aware of what those things are. Privacy-first marketing, to me, very, very simply, I've put it down into 2 or 3 buckets for me, what that means, and I'll take you through that. So for me, it's about consent. It's about minimalism, which is minimal information that you take from the consumer. And it's about, yes, exactly, and it's about maintaining transparency. So to exemplify this, you know, if I'm having a conversation with you, our phones are always listening, you know. So if one's that. And if I just go and see an ad somewhere and I just by mistake click on it, we all have touch screens these days, it's going to start following me. So since I'm from healthcare and I managed to look at an ad about some cardiac preventive health check, right? That is what used to happen before, or we've got the data from somewhere and we reach out to those people. But today, how would I tackle it when I talk about consent, when I talk about minimal? Someone who's come into my hospital and wants to get a PHC done, or I have that data with me, if I have got their consent, I reach out to them that would you like to get such and such done. So that's what I would in a nutshell try and exemplify. Sanjay, I think you'd want to pitch in here as well.
So I think at the core of privacy is a relationship of trust between the consumer and the service provider. Whether that service provider is somebody like us who's a publisher, or whether it is somebody like Nikita who's using a platform like ours to reach out to her customers using our first-party data matched with her first-party data. But I think at the core, it's about trust. When I collected data from the user, did I take his consent? Did I tell him what purposes I will use that data for? When Nikita collected that data, did she take that consent? And did she ask the consumer what purposes was the data collected for? Do we empower the user to unshare the data with us? I think those are the key issues. And I think the need for the law came because while most people were providing lip service to privacy and consumer data, they were not really kind of adhering it to in practice. And I'll give you an example. I will not name a bank, but I bought their credit card recently. And every week I will get one mechanized call from them. We are calling you because you gave us consent. And it's a painful thing. I'll be in a meeting, I'll be in a discussion, I'll be driving, and the call will come. And they will very proudly say, you know, we are calling you because we gave you consent. I didn't give you consent to call me every day to upsell your product. I gave you consent to send me communication messages about the service of the product, not to upsell, cross-sell. So I think that's where when I say it's about trust, it's not about what's written in the law. It's about what you follow in practice. Yes, a lot of us are marketers. We have goals, targets, pressures to achieve sales. And there's a tendency to cut corners. But I think when you put on the consumer shoes and start thinking about it, then you realize, you know, what's the cost of trust. So I bought that card. And because my trust was broken, I don't use it. I'll just put it in my drawer. I don't carry it with me. So that's the cost of trust, where supposedly you have got a sale, but actually you don't have business. And I think that's how people need to look at when they are looking at data privacy and consumer trust.
That's amazing point, Sanjay. Trust that we touched upon. Like you said, Nikita, that privacy first approach is wherein we strictly follow the foundational principle of data protection, which are universal in nature. But coming back on to the trust point, Sanjay, how, first-party data or zero-party data for that matter, it's a better leverage as compared to your third-party cookies to create that trust and loyalty relationship between business and the consumers.
So I think it starts internally, first of all, with your employees. You have to be very clear that when we say we respect consumer data and we respect his privacy, that message goes down internally within the organization. Because I can't be sitting and monitoring everyone, right? But the message has to go from the top that, you know, we value the trust. Then you have to communicate it to the customer and you have to follow it in practice. So for instance, so I've run subscription businesses in my previous job and this job. And one of the things when we initially surveyed people around, you know, their experience with subscription services was, it's easy to get in, it's impossible to get out. And that's one thing I ensured, that when we were onboarding customers, and you know, my team had such a resistance to this thought, that when we will onboard a customer, during that journey, we'll very clearly and loudly tell him, you can exit at any point of time. Here is a link to that thing. We'll send you the link in email. You can go to your My account and access that link. So it's not like hidden in, you know, behind 20 layers and you know, impossible to find. Or you have to call a call center and you keep waiting. So I think trust is about what people experience. Trust is about what people tell others. Now, I mean, I will again not name it, it's a British publication. And if you subscribe to it, getting unsubscribed, you have to call them. You have to call them in UK to get yourself unsubscribed.
That is exit barrier.
Yeah, it's exit barrier. But it's also a trust challenge.
Absolutely.
Right? And in India, when I was launching subscriptions, the experience that people had that side was going to impact my business, and you know, I had to kind of react to that very proactively.
I think I was just going to agree with him that it's very true. Sometimes unsubscribing from you know, things that we think look interesting but then don't work out as per our moods or interests it's very, very hard. But I think it's very important, just to add to what you were saying, it's very important to listen to what your customer is telling you. So asking is one thing. We ask. So, what happens is that we take consent, but it becomes like a little tick in a checkbox. If we actually listen to them and are transparent with them, they will tell us what they want. And I think what that does is, first and foremost, is the trust that Sanjay spoke of. What that builds over time when they realize that you're listening to them once and twice and thrice, it builds credibility. And that, by the way, is the best way which leads us to increased sales. And that's what we want, because that customer is going to be a repeat customer for your brand, whichever industry you're in. But they're also going to tell people, we were talking about word of mouth, that's the best way to build business, I think, today.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. So trust remains at the core of creating loyal customers, I think, so that people can come back to you time and again. So moving on to the other aspects, so we have spoken about that, okay, what exactly this privacy first approach is. Let's now talk about what is causing this shift. I mean, why we are moving from conventional marketing techniques to this privacy first approach. I mean, I understand that, okay, trust is the key driver, I mean, which is business reason. But apart from that, I mean, there are regions like consumer expectations or some regulatory compulsion, because law is there, you are compelled to do that, there is no other option. Nikita?
I think that for me it's very clear. It's the regulations today that we are all bound by across industries. So whether it is media, whether it is healthcare, it could be finance, banking, whatever it is, we're bound by regulations. The second thing to me is technology, because everybody wants, we have a 4-second or 3-second time span that we give to almost anything, right? And so technology is very important because it's hastening things, it's quickening what we want, right? So changes in technology, I think, are driving this change. And the most important is what you said the first. It is what your consumer wants. What do they want? If we listen, we'll figure out. So to me, it's these three things that make a lot of difference.
So I think regulation is important, and it's important because it levels the field. Now, I may have all the good intentions, I may want to build a trusted relationship, but if everybody in the industry is not following the same standards, then I cannot compete in the long run. What regulation does is, it levels the field and says, these are the rules everybody has to follow. So that becomes the basic minimum common denominator, which then becomes a benchmark for everybody to follow and levels the competitive field between different players. I mean, when you look at GST, why has the tax collection grown? Because government created a chain mechanism through which they could plug leakage in the system, where people who are not filing taxes, like sales tax or excise tax or whatever taxes, also fell into the system. And as a result, stealing taxes became difficult, and everybody moved into an organized setup. So it led to a growth in system. Similarly with DPDP, if I am good to my customers, I am following all the rules, and my competition is not, ultimately it will have a financial cost on my bearing. And it's possible to sustain it for a while, but it's impossible to sustain it perpetually. So I think legitimate players always welcome legislation, because it ensures that people who are not playing by the rules start following the rules, and that creates a level playing field. So I think that's one. Second is, I think there's also the consumer need, and we all are consumers in our own rights, and we are all bogged by unwanted emails, ads chasing us, calls that we didn't solicit or want, right? So I think if it irritates us as a consumer, then we must be cognizant of repeating the same behaviors, because they are doing the same thing to our consumers, and it leaves a negative taste. So I think regulation helps to enforce it industry-wise, and consumers also kind of, help because it's good business. So I think those are 2 points that support each other.
That's wonderful thought. So, of course, that's the point that, okay, regulations on one hand, I mean, it creates a kind of parity in the market. privacy first approach gives you a kind of business edge over your competitors to secure maybe sustainable business models. So that's great. So you want to say something, Nikita? Okay, all right. Moving on to the third question, it's more about that. Okay, what it takes to adapt to this shift from conventional techniques to. I mean, I'm very sure that okay, you will have to invest a lot on your IT systems, probably your policies. You will have to convince your board of directors, your investors. You will have to, create that cultural mind shift within your organization. So what it takes to adapt to this shift faster and in efficient way, Sanjay.
So I think, yeah, right, like you said, you need to make a lot of investment into the IT infrastructure. You need to train your people around it. You need to educate people across the board. Actually, all started with Google saying that, we're going to deprecate the cookie. So I think that was the trigger. And certainly, at least for publishers like us, it was a question of survival because advertising is very important and most advertising is cookie based. So for us, it was like we have to find an alternate solution, and that's when we actually started looking at collecting consumer data. Because if you really ask me to read a piece of news which is freely available on the web, you don't really need to know a person's email ID or mobile number. I mean, that's the basic fact. But if you want to kind of identify that user across different devices, give him personalized experiences, start understanding the consumer to deliver personalized ads to him, then you need to do that. And with the cookie doing a big part of that job, we really didn't feel the need to collect information. And traditionally, whether it's TV or print or radio and the digital avatars of those organizations, we were never used to collecting information about the readers. You ask any broadcaster, does he know who watches their TV program? They don't. All they have is a statistical data about their reach based on a sample of 8,000 odd households. You ask any publisher, do they know which address the newspaper gets delivered to? They don't. Because it's the last mile vendor who knows which address the newspaper goes. The newspaper publisher only knows, at this depot I dropped 500 copies. And so probably he can assume in this region, maybe a 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer vicinity, my paper is getting distributed to X number of households. So traditionally we never felt the need. But I think as we evolved, as the platform, the digital ecosystem evolved and what personalization can do, we felt the need to collect data. And it's only in the last 4-5 years, digital publishers have really seriously started collecting data. And now that we have invested in that, and though the cookie still kind of continues, we are now thinking, okay, how do we make use of it, right? And while advertising is one role play, I think personalization is another part where we see a lot of value. And it comes again from the consumer, because today, consumer is short of time. I mean, how many of us actually have the time to go and read a full article, right? And so selecting and curating, which was done by editors, worked when you were doing a newspaper with 70 to 80 stories a day. But when you are pumping 500 stories into your website every day, right, the need for curation at a personalized level then kicks in. So I think that's where it helps. So building IT systems, as I said, is one. We have invested in a CDP system. We have invested in a marketing platform. We have collected data. We are now in the process of encrypting that data, because as per the law, we need to ensure at least the personal information is stored in an encrypted format. So while we had policies which said, okay, people will not use, share or download their data, but now we are going the next step and ensuring that we are adhering to the law as it now stands.
Wonderful. Nikita?
So I'll take so many relevant points, and like I said, this is not just for one industry. It sort of spills over to healthcare as well, since I represent healthcare at the moment, though I have a media background, but that's your domain at the moment. But let me take a step back. I think your question was, how do we adapt to this change? So when I was thinking about this, the first and foremost thing is that, all of us come from different companies. right? And we all represent different functions. So someone's in marketing, someone's in finance, someone's in HR, someone's, today the two most relevant departments in any company are data security and privacy, IT of course, and of course ESG in a big way because sustainability is the new buzzword. But we have so many different functions. Now, as a marketer, a specialist, I create something, and earlier on, it was just very easy for me to say, oh, I understand my consumer, and I'm going to go out and release this campaign. I swear I'll be short, whoever did that. So, I would just release my campaign. But today, with the policies that we spoke of, it's crucial for me to have a chat with legal. Because that legalese is very important for me to understand that the language I'm using is not going to offend anybody or break any regulations, right? That's one. The second thing is, what kind of data am I using? So for instance, my campaign needs for me to reach out to, diabetes patients, let's say. So I would just get data from anywhere. Previously, today I've got to have a conversation with the data security expert. Right? That how am I pulling data? What am I doing? So what happens is that today, how we have adapted is that I feel that the conversations between functions, even to roll out a campaign, those conversations have become not only necessary, but today they've become much easier. So the entire company understands the importance of rolling out a marketing campaign, not just marketing itself. Similarly, when marketing is thinking, it's thinking with a little bit of people perspective. So HR comes in, we need to make sure regulations are in check. So we are constantly in touch with our legal teams, likewise IT, etc. So I think that for me, those conversations have become very routine now, and that's one of the first steps that has helped us adapt. The second thing is that now that all of us are talking, to me, consent is the new interface that we are going to be working on, right? So when we are building CRM systems, what we're doing is we're taking inputs from everyone, and hence there is no bombshell that drops in later. So, and hence when we go out to the public, we are taking a very informed product that suits not just our requirements as a business, but it totally listens into what they want. So to me, that's why I thought I'd just take a step back if that's...
No, that's great, that's great. So any kind of pushback you ever feel while going towards this direction, towards privacy first approach? Any pushback back from your top leadership or your investors, because you need to invest a lot of money, you're changing your business model, right? So somebody would say that it's convenient, probably not to take explicit consent.
So I think it's no longer a matter of choice or shirking away from what is now going to be the law. So I don't think there's a choice. I think at a senior level, people understand this very well. I think it's down the line where you need to sensitize people, because it's about changing people's habits and behaviors, So it's about creating processes and systems which ensure that the data is inaccessible unless it's absolutely needed by someone. So, when you operate in a org structure, a lot of times you operate in a system of trust, right, which works when law is not into place. But when regulation comes into place, then you can't say, no, I was actually trusting that person. Because if the law says data has to be encrypted, it has to be encrypted. It's not ambiguous about it. So I can't say, no, I trusted that person and therefore I didn't encrypt the data. He's working with us for 20 years. So I think that's the difference that comes in. And investment has to be made. I mean, that's what regulation does. It does add to the cost of compliance. And but it also helps because then the consumer feels more secure, more safe dealing with you. And for us, it's like there's consumers who are readers and there are customers who are advertisers. So I think for us, both the parties will feel a lot more better if we are compliant than if we are not compliant.
Shareholders are not really concerned with the nitty-gritties, let me be very honest.
About investment, I mean, particularly about investment, the way you're putting money.
So But of course, that they will be concerned with because that's money in or out of the pocket. But let me be very clear. And I mentioned this, I had referred to this in one of my earlier responses. You know, in order to, we need to have a long game. Unfortunately, see, sales is very, and I love sales, for all my sales colleagues out here, it's very important because salespeople are the ones that implement the marketing strategies. So hey, you guys are very important. But sales is very, very short term. We need to do this now, we need to do this, and that's how things happen. But when you're creating a strategy, you know, it's not just decks that we are making, it's a 3-year or 3 years is no longer the keyword, it's 5 and 10-year strategies because that's the kind of long game we're looking at. And when we're looking at a long game, if in those 10 years you are looking at a pertinent point about research as to what people are thinking of, and then how long it's going to take to incorporate that into the tech set that you want, right? And then of course you build another beautiful deck and you take it to and Excel sheets. They love Excel sheets where the numbers can be crunched immediately and you convince them. But I'll agree with him. Everybody is on board today because our regulations, whether they are in India or the global regulations, they are very, very strong because, hold on, we live in a world that is very volatile at the moment. Things are changing. If we do not adhere to certain SOPs, it's going to be very difficult for all of us. So there has to be some method that we follow. So I don't think it's that hard to convince shareholders because all they need to see is that yes, these 2 years, we're going to have to make these investments, but at the end of 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, this is the long-term benefit, and I think everybody falls into line with that, even the shareholders.
So these are some of the
question?
Yeah, that answers my questions perfectly. I mean, wonderful thoughts, Sanjay, Nikita. So can I just say that, okay, sustainability is the key for any business. And sustainability hinges a lot on trust, if not fully. Trust comes out of your practices. Transparency is one of that. And I think in this world wherein we know the data is a kind of very valuable commodity for business, I think it would not be wrong to say that trust is the currency to gain that data. Would that be right conclusion from this session?
No, absolutely. I think I have multiple email IDs. I have one which I use on sites which I go just to check out things. I have one where I use it for subscribing to newsletters. I have one which I use only for financial transactions. Why do I do it? Because there's a whole bunch of websites and service providers there which I don't trust, right? And that's why I have created multiple identities to, where I feel safe, I share the one which is my prominent ID. Where I don't feel safe, I don't. And all of us do it, People have multiple mobile numbers for the same reason, right? So I think, what am I collecting? When I say I'm collecting data, so the question is, which email ID am I collecting of my user? Is it the one of the frivolous account which he never opens? Or is it the one which he opens 5 times in a day? I think that is what trust is all about.
Absolutely.
Very much so. I don't think trust is the new currency that we are operating on. Let's just be very clear. So totally in agreement with him.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Thank you, Nikita. And thanks a lot, audience, for being patient and being here. So you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Please. Can someone get mic over there? I think we are running short of time, so we can't take many questions, but yeah. To the extent we are permitted, I mean, we are happy to
taken by either Nikita or Sanjay. DPDP has certain requirements. Now the rules have not come out, I understand that. Also there are other things such as journalists have filed a case, they should not be kept under DPDP and so on. Different people have done different things. What is it that you guys have done, or rather have you done anything that are covered currently under DPDP without the rules? Fine, again, rules have not come out, so but still there are certain things there, right? You spoke of unsubscribe. Now unsubscribe is a separate thing. There is something called forget me, all those facilities. Are there anything that has at least been done currently, or you're waiting for the rules to come out?
So I think we are waiting for the rules, but we are putting our systems in place, because you need to have a very elaborate system in place. So when the GDPR rules came in, our policy was very clear. The percentage of users coming from the Eurozone was very small, so our policy was you accept and come in, and if you don't accept, then you stay out. Because it really didn't impact our business. But we can't follow the same policy in India. So I need to empower my users with all the things that you're talking about, right to forget, look at the data, all of it. So we are building those systems. So while we had the data, we had processes to get the requests offline and cater to them. But that worked in a GDPR environment where I get less than 1% of my traffic from. But when I operate in India and I have 150 million monthly users coming in, I can't have manual processes driving such support systems. So we are automating, and also we want the rules to be clear so that we know exactly what needs to be done. So while broadly we know encryption needs to be done, so we've started work on that. We know that internally people access has to be controlled. We've started work on that. I think as I said, the most difficult part is educating, your teams. So we've been working on that a lot. Because a lot of stuff like HR data, finance data, all of this also comes under DPDP. I mean, normally we think it's only about customer data, but it's about, resumes you get.
Employees.
Right? Even that is under privacy preview. So how do you store them? So it runs across departments, and we are educating all the people on, how to handle and be compliant.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what... so healthcare is a very life-critical space. We were just discussing. And that data is, I think, one of the most sensitive pieces of information that you can have, because, you suddenly have access to someone's name, age, family history, genetic history, disease history. And that, if it leaks out, it can cause a lot of stigma, because unfortunately, we still live in a society that tends to stigmatize disease and all of that, despite the fact that we have so much in terms of treatment available. So exactly what Sanjay said, we are also within our network, the access to the information, the CRM systems that we have in place. So we are, and this is recent, so while the regulations are made clearer to us, we have restricted greatly the access of this information and who's handling it, because data needs to be churned for various reasons. So the same process is on even in healthcare, and we're being very, very critical about what is seen by whom.
Absolutely, I 100% agree that in healthcare, data protection, apart from being a legal topic, it's also ethical issue, I believe. So yeah, it's not new in healthcare. Any other question? All right, then, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you very much.
It was a fun conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikash.